It was supposed to be impenetrable, but on a sweltering night in July 2013, everything changed. Inside the prison, tensions had been simmering for months. The overcrowded cells, harsh conditions, and brutal treatment from the guards had created a volatile atmosphere. Whispers of an impending escape plan had been circulating amongst the inmates, but the specifics were known only to a selected few. The mastermind behind the plan was Kofi Asare, a former military officer turned bank robber, whose strategic mind was only matched by his ruthless ambition. Kofi had been meticulously planning the escape for over a year. He had studied the guards' routine, identified the weak spots in the prison security, and established a network of loyal inmates ready to act on his command. The key to the plan was bribing a corrupt guard, Officer Mensah, who for the right price had agreed to smuggle in tools and look the other way at crucial moments. The night of the escape was chosen for its moonless sky, which provided the covers of darkness. At exactly 11:45 p.m., Kofi and his hand-picked team began their operation. The first phase involved overpowering the night guards in their section. A crude but effective shave fashioned from a metal spoon found its mark, and within minutes, the guards were subdued and bound. With the guards neutralized, Kofi retrieved the tools hidden in the cell. They worked quickly, prying open a loose grate in the floor that led the prison's underground utility tunnels. The tunnels were labyrinth, filled with pipes and electrical wiring, but Kofi had memorized the route. Crawling through the narrow, stifling space, they made their way towards the outer wall. Meanwhile, in the control room, Officer Mensah had just begun his shift. He discreetly disabled the alarm systems and surveillance cameras in the critical areas, ensuring the escapees would remain undetected. He felt a pang of anxiety, knowing that if caught, he would face severe repercussions, but the substantial sum Kofi had promised was enough to quell his fears. Back in the tunnels, the escapees reached a dead end, a thick rusted metal door that led to the outside. Using a makeshift blowtorch crafted from smuggled parts, they began cutting through the metal. The heat was intense, and the acrid smell of burning metal filled the confined space, making it hard to breathe. Every second felt like an eternity, but finally, the door gave way with a groan. Emerging from the tunnel, they found themselves in the prison yard near the perimeter wall. They had one more obstacle, the wall itself. Using ropes and grappling hooks that Kofi had acquired through his connections, they began their ascent. The wall was slick with dew, and the razor wire at the top was a formidable barrier. Kofi went first, demonstrating the technique to avoid the razor wire. One by one, the others followed. As they reached the top of the wall, they paused for a moment, taking in view of freedom before them. But their celebration was short-lived. In the distance, they heard the unmistakable sound of dogs barking. Someone had discovered the incapacitated guards and raised the alarm. They needed to move quickly. Kofi led the group towards a nearby forest that bordered the prison. The thick foliage provided cover as they disappeared into the night. They ran for what felt like hours, not daring to stop or look back. Their lungs burned and their legs ached, but the fear of recapture drove them onward. As dawn approached, they reached a small village on the outskirts of Sunyani. They split up, each taking a different path to avoid detection. Kofi, however, had a different destination in mind. He had planned for his contingency and made arrangements to meet a contact who would help him disappear. In the aftermath of the escape, Sunyani Central Prison was in chaos. The prison authorities were in a state of panic, and a massive manhunt was launched. The escape had not only embarrassed the prison administration, but also highlighted the glaring security deficiencies. The media descended on the prison, and the story dominated the news cycle, putting immense pressure on law enforcement to recapture the fugitives. Officer Mensah, realizing the severity of the situation, tried to flee but was apprehended within hours. Under intense interrogation, he confessed to his role in the escape, implicating several others. The revelation only added to the scandal, as it became clear that corruption had played a significant part in the prison break. As the days turned into weeks, several of the escapees were captured, each recounting a tale of desperation and fear during their brief state of freedom. But Kofi remained elusive. He had assumed a new identity and used his military training to stay off radar. He moved constantly, never staying in one place for long. He avoided any contact that could lead to his discovery. The hunt for Kofi Asare became an obsession for the authorities. He was a symbol of their failure, and his recapture was imperative. They followed every lead, no matter how slender, but each time they seemed close, Kofi slipped through their fingers. In the months that followed, the government conducted a thorough investigation into the prison security lapses. Several high-ranking officials were dismissed, and a comprehensive overhaul of the prison system was initiated. Measures were taken to improve the conditions within the prisons, addressing overcrowding and root out corruption among the staff. For Kofi, the prison break was both a triumph and a curse. He had achieved the impossible, but it came at the cost of living in constant fear. His dream of freedom was ruined by the reality of being a fugitive. He knew that one mistake, one moment of complacency could lead to his capture. As he stood on a hillside overlooking a distant town, Kofi reflected on the path that led him here. He had outwitted the authorities and orchestrated one of the most daring prison breaks in history. But as the sun set on another day of his precarious freedom, he couldn't shake the feeling that it was only a matter of time before his past caught up with him. 5 years after his escape, Kofi's situation had become increasingly uncertain. His network of support had dwindled, and the stress of living as a fugitive took a significant toll on him. His movements became more erratic, and he took greater risk to survive. In a small coastal town where he had been living under the alias Kwame Danso, Kofi made a critical mistake. He visited a local bar to gather information and overheard a conversation about a new police initiative targeting fugitives. Feeling paranoid, he decided to leave the town immediately. His abrupt departure raised suspicions, and one of the locals, motivated by the prospect of a reward, reported him to the police. The police acted quickly on the tip and deployed a specialized task force to the area. After 2 days of intense surveillance, they cornered Kofi in a small, rundown house on the outskirts of town. Realizing he had no option, Kofi surrendered without resistance. His capture was a significant event, covered extensively by the media, bringing a sense of closure to the authorities and the public. The Sunyani prison break of 2013 would be remembered as a dramatic and pivotal event in Ghana's history, a testimony of human ingenuity and the relentless pursuit of liberty. And as the years passed, the legend of Kofi Asare would grow, a symbol of defiance and unyielding desire for freedom. The Sunyani prison break occurred on the 9th of July 15th, 2013. Please subscribe for more of these. Thank you.